Hey, let's get it started, man. Ding, ding. We back. You already know who it is. Mr. Get That Work alongside with my brother Hawk Von Dane. We are the Chin Checkers, and there's a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot to talk about.
Well, started off, we were in the building. Brooklyn was in the building. Puerto Ricans was in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to everyone that came through for the Berlanga and Rolls fight.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, man?
Are we just jumping into the main fight? That's what we jumping into?
I don't know. You want to quarterback it? Where are we going? How are we doing this?
All right, well, let's start with the not so good. Not for nothing. Hey, Berlanga didn't look great. You know, he didn't look great last night. He got the W. Luckily for him, Steve Rolls was even more timid, especially early on.
Yeah.
You know, had Steve Rolls been a more aggressive fighter from jump, the fight could have been a little different. But Steve Rolls was intimidated probably by the power, maybe also by the youth. And he didn't really get started until later on in the fight, which was good for Berlanga because he outscored him. But really, Billy, he didn't do much that was impressive that night.
Yeah. It wasn't an entertaining fight, man. That was a whack main event. Nothing against Berlanga. When he first jumped on the scene, everyone jumped on him, and I was like, they overhyping the kid. Calm down. You know, I know he knocked everyone out in the first couple seconds, but even the knockouts weren't like this spectacular display of skill. It was just heavy hands fighting guys that couldn't move their heads, things like that. So after he got dropped, everyone, oh, this guy ain't shit. He's somewhere in the middle. You know, he's going to take time to adjust. And even though he didn't look good this fight, got to remember, he coming off surgery. So He looked good even in the loss where he got dropped. He showed the good jab, showed a little bit of a boxing ability, even though he got caught and got hurt. He looked good that fight. This fight wasn't entertaining and he didn't look good. But this is also right after surgery. You know, you're fighting in the garden. All of Brooklyn was in the building.
Yeah.
Maybe his nerves played a factor or whatever. I want to see how he looks the next fight. Because at the end, when he did his press conference, he said he had pain in his elbow. And a guy like me who's had multiple surgeries, I know how mentally that can affect you. And physically. You know, he didn't throw any jabs. It was almost maybe 2 around that he threw. So I don't want to criticize him yet. I do want to, I don't want to get up here and rip him. I don't see it.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely not that we're ripping him. It's just criticism. That's all. It's just criticism. And, again, like to piggyback off what you said, he may not be ready yet for, a big title fight. He needs, to, be seasoned just a little more. But, my biggest thing was just not enough activity, and like I said, because Rolls was inactive or scared or timid, that saved him. That saved Berlanga in that fight.
To elaborate on what you're talking about, there's a way to put pressure on a fighter to make them uncomfortable. You can be on top of a guy and constantly in their face.
Huh?
You can be on top of a guy and constantly in their face. Where it's giving them anxiety and making them use energy just from moving.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're referring to, because he didn't even do that. He did it for split seconds towards the end of the fight. I want to say like the 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere around there, where he did it for only a couple seconds, where he put pressure on the guy and made him feel uncomfortable. Most of the fight, he was standing around and they're almost doing like this dance between each other. Neither one of the guys wanted to take advantage of the other fighter, and shame on Rolls, because when Rolls started actually being active, I want to say the 6th, 7th, and 8th round, he got busy. He actually could have probably pulled off the upset had he actually fought earlier in the fight.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't, and that's the thing, guys. You know, we're not ripping, again, we're not ripping Berlanga, but, you know, there's a way where you perform. It's just about performance. We're not saying that he has to go out there and get the knockout. So let us be clear. It's about how you perform. Win or lose, it's just about how you perform. That night, he didn't perform well. I would say the most impressive performance, MIP, that's what we're going to call it from now on, MIP. I have to give the Bruce, man. Bruce, I said Bruce, but y'all know what I mean. Shu Shu Carrington stole the night.
Bing bang. His legs is like linguine.
He stole the night. He was in a gritty match, and he did his thing, man. He showed that he got grit. He showed that he got a good chin. He showed that he got heart, and he's a competitor. I think he stole the night.
Yeah, man. You know, I took a picture with him, and you spent all this time bringing this big Gatling gun, this thing that looked like, you know, they use it to swing across the city, and you took the worst picture with me and Bruce. What the fuck was that, man?
Yo, man, you can't blame the equipment, okay?
That's my, you had all the, that's like a sniper missing, but he got the red beam, the extra big scope.
Yo,
you are no longer on camera duty. Anywhere. Oh my God. Man.
Oh man, but to say the least, guys, it was a fun night. Madison Square Garden, everybody there was, you know, had dope energy, man. The whole night, it was just full of dope individuals, the crowd, the people, the fans, the fighters. Everybody had dope energy, man. It was a good night, man. It was a good night at Madison Square Garden.
Out there, Xander Zayas, young Puerto Rican fighter. I believe he's like 19. He's real young. I think he's one of the youngest ever to get signed by a top-ranked, solid fighter, and I like him. Now I even got to be not so much critical. I don't think he has elite power. And I'm hoping as he gets older and starts to mature and become more of a man, because right now he's still a teenager. He's still growing. I see him land a lot of crisp bombs on people. And they don't really react the way someone would like when you have power. He does have knockouts, but the fight we were watching, he was drumming this guy clean at times, and he wasn't able to get him out of there. Well, they stopped it at the end, right?
No, that was the distance.
Right, it went all the way.
Yeah, it went the distance. And, you know, maybe this guy had a good chin. I do see what you're talking about, you know, but he has time. He's, like we said, he's young. Yeah. So he has time to grow that power. And because he's so accurate with his punches, in the future, I could see him getting more knockouts because he already has good accuracy. So, you know, whether he got the power or not, just having good accuracy, that's a step in the right direction.
Technical skills, yeah. How did you feel looking at the type of pressure he put on his opponent as opposed to what Berlanga should have been doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, they talked about how Berlanga has a pretty good IQ, and maybe he does. Again, in that night, he really didn't show because he didn't cut off the ring. He didn't, you know, jab enough, you know, double jab, triple jab, get inside. He did some of his best work off the jab, and when he fought this guy on the inside, because Rolls didn't want no part of that. Now, when you look at Xander's performance, he doesn't have the power, but he was aggressive effectively. He went in there trying to get the knockout, and he was aggressive. Again, it's not about getting the knockout. It's just about performance. Based off performance, you know, Zayas did very well.
So I just kind of wish while Xander don't have the power, you constantly see him improve. I want to see that from Berlanga the next fight. He's talking about fighting, I believe, in June, Puerto Rican weekend, probably in the Garden again, almost like what Miguel Cotto used to do. So I'm hoping to see that. You know, I'm excited. I want to see him back in the ring, but I want to see some improvement, man. Maybe tape on like Hagler or Rocky Marciano on punches that not necessarily always won just by the spectacular knockout, but more of a wore the fighter down and grinded them out. Hopefully, you know, he could develop some of what those guys had. But there was some other big fights, man.
I mean, yeah, the undercard was real good, man. Like I said, the person he should have been on the main card again. Bruce Carrington, he was on the undercard, not the main card, and he had the best performance. He had the best performance.
Shout out to Henry LeBron.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, Henry looked good.